A lot of us know that we struggle with perfectionism. We want to do everything perfectly, not only to satisfy our own inner critic, but to also prevent ourselves from being negatively judged by others. This fear of negative judgment can affect our entire life. Why is this such a problem for some of us? Well, because it's not just a worry, it's an addiction. It's an addiction to approval. Hello everyone. Today I am talking about the fear of judgment, worrying all the time about what other people think of you, worrying all the time about being judged. Now this happens very often for INFJs, I will say, but also for INFPs too. INFPs are definitely not immune. This is an INFJ thing and also an INFP thing, especially for INFJ writers and INFP writers. It affects everything. It affects our writing, it affects our creativity, it affects our entire lives. When we suffer from this type of perfectionism, where we're really worried that we're going to be judged negatively by other people if we make the slightest mistake, that means that we tend to overthink everything. We think about everything that we're going to do or say before we actually do it or say it. We might have entire conversations in our heads. Some of us might even write these conversations down, sort of like a script to prepare. We tend to over-prepare for situations. This is because we're constantly worried about the reactions of others. And any expression of judgment against us can shut us down. So we're constantly chasing approval. We're constantly trying to get other people to tell us we're okay, what we're doing is okay, what we're saying is okay, how we're expressing ourselves is okay. We might also take on more than we can handle. So we take on more work at our workplace because we want to be seen as the hard worker, right? So we're trying to overachieve there. We're trying to bend over backwards there. We might always be the friend who listens to everybody in our friend group, the friend who's always there, even if it inconveniences us, even if we're burnt out, we don't have very much to give. We keep showing up and we keep trying to give because we want other people to see us in a positive light. We want other people to think of us in a certain way, whether that's, oh, so-and-so is a really hard worker or so-and-so is a really good friend. So even when we don't have the energy to do these things, we will still compulsively do these things. So we end up saying yes a lot of the time when we really mean no. When our body is screaming no, our heart is screaming no, our brain is chugging along ahead, yes, 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 we have to do this, or other people won't like us, other people will get mad at us, we'll lose friends. All of these things are signs of approval addiction. When someone has an addiction to approval, they only feel safe when other people approve of them. So they only feel safe when other people approve of what they're doing, what they're saying, who they are, the identity they have, and how they are expressing themselves. They tend to feel very unsafe when others do not approve of them or do not agree with what they are doing, how they're presenting themselves, their identity, who they are. And so they're always trying to be a certain thing. And this is something that INFJs and INFPs can really fall into. We are always trying to be perfect. And a lot of times perfect doesn't even mean that we are like the ideal human being. It means that we are the perfect idea of what the other person needs us to be, right? So if the other person really needs a good friend, we are the perfect concept of a good friend. If the other person is our boss and they really need a hard worker, we are the perfect manifestation of the good hard worker. We do this so that no one will ever have an issue with what we're doing, what we're expressing, or our way of being. Now, obviously, this is impossible. If you really sit and think this through, nobody can be everything to everybody all of the time. And while we might consciously know this, we might rationally understand this, for INFJs and some INFPs, this is really hard emotionally to grasp. It's really hard spiritually to sink in because we've usually done this for so long and for so many years over our life that we are very used to trying to be everything to everyone all the time. Because we're always trying to be everything to everyone all the time, we're always trying to be perfect and not be judged, we're always trying to prevent that judgment from coming at us, we tend to experience psychological distress because we're torn in two. We're usually suppressing what we really want to do. We're going against our true thoughts, our true needs, and our true feelings in order to serve the needs of someone else. And so this really creates a conflict within us. We have this like one side battling the other side thing going on. And then when our true feelings or our true thoughts come to the surface, we do tend to punish ourselves for having those. So we'll stuff them down even more, or we'll maybe like chastise ourselves in our own mind. The inner critic really comes out. We might bully ourselves in our own mind and say, you can't have that, or what are you thinking, or you're a bad person for even thinking of that. So that also creates a lot of psychological distress. So people who are struggling with approval addiction, they do have that perfectionism going on, but they're also in a lot of mental pain a lot of the time. And a lot of this, like I said, gets stuffed. The feelings get stuffed. So there's not always a consciousness of how much mental pain the person's in because they're shutting that part of themselves off, right? It's bad to even want things for yourself. You don't deserve it. I can't believe you're even feeling resentful. So we will tend to feel resentful, and then immediately we will feel guilty on the heels of that for even allowing ourselves to feel resentful. So it's a really vicious cycle. So to heal this issue of perfectionism, this terror of being judged by other people, this addiction to approval, we have to start at the root. We have to start at the core. We have to look at these feelings of what it means to feel safe and what it means to feel unsafe, because that's where the wires are crossed, right? So in our brain, we've been wired in this way that in order to feel safe, other people need to approve of me. Other people need to like what I'm doing. They need to agree with what I'm doing. That means I'm safe. We need to uncross those wires so that we understand we can be safe and other people can actually disagree with what we're doing or disapprove of our identity or disapprove of what we are expressing. And that's okay, because that doesn't mean we're unsafe. We can remain safe and experience disapproval. That is really the core issue we want to work with to heal this anxiety about being judged. So we want to learn ways to feel safe even when other people disapprove of us. And then we're well on our way to healing our addiction to approval. I'm going to be talking about this subject and so much more. As you can see, this is it's a really big subject, but it's a really deep subject as well. There are a lot of layers to it. I'm going to be covering this in my new workshop coming up, Perfectionism, How to Heal Writing Anxiety, because so much of this stuff goes beyond writing. It tends to show up in writing for writers. It shows up in our creative lives when we are a creative person, but this touches every area of our lives, and that's what we're going to be tackling in this workshop. Saturday, November 11th is when it's all happening, 1 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern. This class is only $25. I want to make it very affordable to as many people as possible, because perfectionism, right up there with procrastination, is probably one of the few subjects that I get constant emails about. Every single day, every single week, I get messages and emails from people who are really struggling with perfectionism. So I wanted to do this workshop, make it super accessible so we can start healing perfectionism at the root so we can move forward with our writing and have a better life overall. This will also be a recorded workshop. I record all of my classes and workshops. If you can't be there live, no problem. You register, get the recording, do it on your own time. And you can always email me later with questions, even if you weren't there live for the workshop. Thank you so much, everyone, and please subscribe to my channel. I do so many videos on writing, intuition, creativity for INFJs, INFPs, personality theory, all sorts of good stuff, so please subscribe to my channel. Please also subscribe to my newsletter. That's where I send out all the notifications for classes and courses, and that's also where I ask, what would you like to see me teach next? I really work with my audience on shaping future classes and courses, and I always am asking for input and feedback and ideas. So please get on my newsletter, send me your ideas, and I'll see what I can do. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. I'll see you next time.